Yes, there we are. All right. We are going to get started here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bottle Rocket Media's July live stream. I am here with Matt Cady, our director of photography.
Hello.
How
Thanks
you
so much for
doing?
having me. I'm doing great.
Oh
Thanks
my
so much for
gosh.
having me.
We are so excited to have you. I feel like it's been mostly marketing people so far, so I'm so
Okay.
excited to have someone on set taking the video.
That is typically my role. Some days I'm here in the office. So
Absolutely.
you guys happen to catch me on an office day. Cool.
Well, today we are going to look through what you take to set. So, like a what's in my bag, director of photography edition. I'm super excited. I mean,
That's great.
this is very compact
Yeah.
bag.
First of all, I do want to say this is only like a small part of what I take to set. What I take to set is usually an SUV completely full, jam-packed to the ceiling, stuff on the passenger seat. There's always like 10 last minute things that I think, oh, we might need this, we might need that. But what's in the bag is all the camera stuff, and that's kind of the cornerstone of the whole kit.
Awesome. Yeah, just a little glimpse.
Cool. Okay, great. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll just start with the big stuff. And the first thing is the Sony FX6.
Wow.
This is a camera we use for most things here. It's a fantastic 4K, 10-bit, great documentary camera. It's been around for about 6 years and still going strong. It is funny, it's definitely not the most expensive camera that I've ever owned, but it's my favorite camera that I've ever owned. Mainly because of the form factor. If you guys can tell, it's very small, very lightweight, and they still manage to put tons of buttons on it, which when you're actually operating the camera, especially if you're doing handheld, you're in some kind of a documentary situation, um, you really don't want to have to ever go into a menu to adjust anything. And what's awesome about this camera in particular is I can have my eye on what I'm filming, and with my left hand just reach over and feel for the slow motion button, or the white balance button, or the scroll wheel that controls the neutral density. It's kind of like when you're driving, you don't really want to take your eyes off the road, right?
Right.
You want to change the radio or you change the air conditioning, you just reach over and turn it off.
Just like driving.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things about this camera. The other is it's kind of just like a little square, and that makes it really good for mobility because when you put a camera on a dolly or a slider or a gimbal, the longer it is like this, the less stable it'll be because it's really hard to find the center of gravity. But when it's just a little box, you can just run with it all you want.
That's awesome. How long have you had this camera?
I've had this one since about 2021.
Okay.
They were kind of hard to get their hands on when they first came out. They were so popular.
Right. And COVID, like, let me shoot a video.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, as COVID started to end and people were going back to work, I think a lot of people had sold off all their gear,
Oh,
as I
sure.
had.
Uh-huh.
And then it was time to start fresh. So this was kind of the go-to. Um, by the fact that like it hasn't been outseated by a newer camera in 6 years.
That's impressive.
It's kind of proof.
Yeah.
You know, usually these things go in like 2-year cycles.
Mm.
In
Wow.
for a while.
Okay, awesome. I love that. Yeah,
Cool.
let's see what's next.
Okay, and then next, we split the big stuff, would be the A7S III. This is a still and video camera. I use it as the B camera. It has basically, from what I can tell, the exact same sensor as what's inside the FX6, but in a much smaller package. Downside is you don't have as many buttons. You have to go into a menu to change everything. But the upside is it's tiny. You can put it on a gimbal. A lot of times on shoots, I'll just have this rigged up on the gimbal, ready to go all day. And when I need a gimbal shot, I grab it. And when I'm done with that, I bounce back to that camera. So it's actually really been a huge change to the workflow to just be able to have two cameras rigged up in two different ways and not have to take 15, 20 minutes to break this down and put it on a gimbal, and then when you're done with your gimbal shooting, then have to put it back together.
Right.
And it's great because it's also a cheaper option than having two of these.
Sure.
And smaller, lighter weight. It's when I started out, cameras were much larger, and the idea of being able to have two cameras in one little bag like this was like unheard of.
Yeah.
Now it's really amazing.
Right. The future's here.
Exactly. Yeah. The future arrived like 5 years ago.
Right.
Pretty settled on everything now.
That's awesome. So for like just like an example, like give and shoot, what do you usually?
Yeah, I always bring both. Yeah, I mean interview shoots, B-roll, any kind of documentary stuff. I always have both, and it's really amazing that the image quality, as far as I can tell, is like exactly the same. Like you don't get all of the functionality of the whistle, but really in a controlled environment like shooting an interview, I always use them side by side, and no one has ever commented like that camera doesn't look as good as the A camera. And there's even situations where this guy's the A camera and that guy's the B camera, just because of space reasons or stuff like that, so really, really fantastic to have both of these.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, now we move on to the next. So we talk about lenses now.
Wow.
This is kind of my go-to lens kit. I'll have 3 Sony zooms. I've got the 24 to 70 just lives on this camera. I have the 24 to 105 and the 70 to 200, and then a telephoto adapter for the 70 to 200, which that pretty much covers any focal length you could possibly need, from 24 to about 350 with the telephoto adapter in this guy. And it's interesting because when we do bigger shoots, we definitely rent really nice lenses. But the problem that we run into is the sensors are so large on these cameras that your field of view is very wide. So you need more telephoto lenses. So a lot of the sets that are out there only go to like 100 millimeters.
Okay.
And what we find is that we end up shooting our main shot of the interview, like this on a 75, and then we have a closer shot on 100, and then even closer than that. So we end up using this zoom a ton just because we can get that focal length that we need.
Right.
So even though it's like not a super expensive lens, it really comes in handy because a lot of the job actually has a lot more to do with practicality than like, kind of loftier creative decisions and saying, I really love the fall off of this lens, or I love the way this old vintage lens looks. It's like, that's great, but at the end of the day, if you need to get to 150 millimeters, you need one of these.
Right. Yes. Like you said, it sounds like it's all about like practicality.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming like indoor and outdoor. Like
for sure.
With like lots of different pieces of
equipment. And how much space you have and how you want to use the space. I find myself needing to go to more telephoto lenses than not. And then this lens actually just came with the camera. It's 24 to 105. What I love about it is it has optical stabilization. So it's definitely my go-to lens for documentary shooting. If I'm going to be just walking around all day, it's great to have that extra bit of stabilization.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have it on the B camera on a gimbal, it's awesome to have that extra bit of stabilization. Like you can get really, really smooth shots. And it's a pretty wide focal length for 24 to 105. It's not the best aperture, but I find on the full frame cameras, I really don't want to go faster than 4 because then the depth of field just gets so shallow that you're actually fighting to like make sure what you want in focus is in focus.
Yeah.
So 4 tends to be kind of a sweet spot. And like I said, this is a telephoto adapter. Sometimes sometimes I bust it out if I really need to get beyond 200 millimeters.
Yeah.
But that's it for lenses.
That's awesome. You got something for every job.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the biggest part of the job. Is be ready for anything.
Right. Like, how can you adapt?
Absolutely. Because like you said, it's like, you're shooting outside and you think you're going to be at 75 millimeters and then it rains that day and the only place that they can put you that's safe is like really far away. And you're like, okay, well, that's okay because I brought my telephoto camera. So
Back and prepared.
exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
You got to be ready for everything. What else? I have these batteries. I kind of want to talk about these because most DPs love the larger brick batteries that are V mount or gold mount. Um, I really prefer these little guys. And I'd rather have a bunch of these on set and swap through them quicker than one huge battery that weighs a ton and makes the camera longer. And another thing is that these are native to the camera, so they can communicate with the camera much better.
Oh, okay.
And they can tell me pretty accurately how many minutes of power I have left, which you wouldn't think is like a huge thing, but
No.
you're in the middle of a shoot.
Yeah.
Often you're sort of in an interview and the camera starts to go low power. And you need to know, like, do I have 10 more minutes or do I have like 25 more minutes? Because
Right.
if it's 25, I'm not going to say anything. If it's 10, I got to stop now. And, another thing is like, as the DP, you never want to interrupt an interview. We shoot so many interviews and it's like, as much as possible, you want to wait until there's some sort of a natural break or the director needs to take a break. Somebody else needs a minute. The on-camera talent needs to take a sip of water, something like that. Then you can pause, but you never want to stop for anything technical. We did an interview right in this room a couple of weeks ago. We were using different cameras that use the big brick batteries, and when they would get low, they would just start beeping.
Yeah.
So it would be like you knew you had maybe 5 minutes before it was going to start to beep, but you're trying to find that minute to swap out, and then it would just start beeping in the middle of the
Nothing more comforting than a loud beep during a heartfelt story.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. You're filming with. You never know. It could be like a cancer patient or somebody who's been through this traumatic experience, and you're hearing their story, and then all of a sudden in the middle of it you're like, we're reading the sound right now, sorry.
Yeah, totally.
So I really love my batteries there.
That's awesome. Oh, all right, show us one final.
Okay, here's what I'll say on this other side pocket.
Whoa, I did not see that coming.
I keep a ton of tools, and they're kind of random. I've got a Leatherman that has different knives.
Oh, okay.
Those pliers. You never know what you're going to need. This I bought like 10 years ago. It's for screws that are in this weird like star shape.
Oh, yes.
And every now and then it comes in handy. In fact, I actually used this to take apart this table about 2 weeks ago because we turned this room into a little studio
under there.
Yeah, to shoot an interview. And it's like, you never know. You show up at a client's space, they want to shoot in a room, but the table's gigantic. You need to get it out of there. You try and take it apart, and it's like, what bizarre screws are these that this thing was made in Norway or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing you say that because obviously it's about the shot and the camera work, but it's also like, how do I adapt the space to get the shot?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
didn't think
you can think about it as creatively as you want. You can think about what lenses you're going to want to use and how you want to light it, but at the end of the day, it's like in order to make the space to take it, you're going to really be boxed in, literally.
Yeah.
So yes, these are my essentials that I bring on set.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, thank you. I feel like I've learned a lot. I saw you on set once, and like, but seeing this, I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like that's why he has this. Oh, well, thanks so much for joining us, Matt. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah, this has been really great talking to you about this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we have a live stream every month. We've got various guests on. So make sure to check out bottlerocketmedia.net for more tips and insights. And yeah, thanks again, Matt.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for watching.